vindication is? Vindication is when somebody says you're right. You're right. And in Jesus, because of his blood, he makes your wrongs into rights. When you're taught by God, you're coming to Jesus. I don't know where you guys are at today. But if you don't yet know Jesus, you don't yet have a relationship with him where you talk with him and where you wait for him to talk to you also and to teach you. And that's part of that's reading the Bible, but it's also praying. I encourage you guys to seek that. That's what we were made for. There's not supposed to be any barriers between you and God. But in the world as it is now, there's tons of things that try to set themselves up as barriers, including churches, like the building we're in right now. Is this God's house? Okay, you could say, yeah, it is to a degree. I just prayed that earlier. But in truth, this is not God's house. This is God's house. This is God's house. You are all God's house. This is God's house, our bodies. There's not supposed to be any barriers. We're the temple. To review my main points here, I believe God's vision for our youth group and for everybody, but I want it to start here. It started elsewhere. There's already people out there that are taught by God. They don't need us. But we're a community here. We're a community that God has placed in Agua Dulce for his purposes. God wants us to teach us by himself, to become fearless, so that you don't hesitate to do his work as a result of that. And then defeat all evil that comes against you and others. But it starts with yourself. Because many things come against us. We know that. It doesn't matter what we call them. They're enemies. And then this last verse, Jesus confirms all these things. He says, "No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I will raise them up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they will all be taught by God. Everyone who has heard the Father and learned from him comes to me." God wants you to be taught by him. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're part of this community, this group. He wants you to be taught by him. And you're here today because he wants you to know that. No matter what else you hear. All the things that I do or have done, I am now going to do in a more specific order. I'm going to begin with teaching you guys the Bible more generally. And then we're going to move into the things Jesus specifically taught relating to the past in the Bible. And we'll interconnect the two. And then we'll move from there into the end of the end times and see how God will establish heaven on earth. A day of hope. And the hot topic from now on is your walk with Jesus. What does that look like? What questions do you have about it? How can I encourage you? Because our job as Christians is to point people to God and get out of the way. To get out of the way. If I'm constantly standing in between you and God, there's a problem. Because I'm not a mediator. And neither is anyone else. So, one way to be bold about your faith is to do what she just did. And me personally, so I'm going to say something, but I'm not saying like this is the law, this is the truth. But for me personally, crying in front of people, especially in the audience, is a level of boldness that is like the very top. It takes a while to get there. And to be able to still sit there and not run away, that's when your boldness is maxed out to a certain level. There are worse things, certainly, like when the audience gets up to come and grab you and kill you, like they did with Jesus and Paul, people like that. But for our little American culture where we're so comfortable, that is maxing out boldness.